Guys, beautiful weekend. Beautiful weekend for the USMNT Top 10. Beautiful weekend for most of our boys abroad. How are we doing, guys? It's good to be back. My show just finished yesterday, so Sunday streams can return instead of doing them Monday, which I much prefer. How's everybody's weekend going? What have you guys been up to? Ben Wheeler says great games for Luca, McKenny, Johnny, both Booth brothers, Paredes, and even Gio, plus Weah subbing in makes up for the relatively poor Saturday performances. Sure. Yeah, that's about right. Pura vida, Pete. Good to hear from you, USA expat, President Chip. What's up, guys? We're gonna do our call-in show after this, so I pinned the link at the top if anybody wants to go check that out. How'd your show go? Pretty good. Pretty good. Sold out every show for 3 weeks. 11 performances total, so really, really good. Got great reviews. 7 reviews in total. 6 were very positive, so overall, super great show. Damn power's going out in NorCal. Good luck streaming in SoCal, Pete. Oh, yeah, we're having huge storms down here. I don't know if the power is going to last, but if you lose me, that's probably why. Double booth feature or riot. Guess you'll have to wait around and see, you guys. We all knew Pete was a dog. What? Pete, question I must ask, is it almost time to start having conversations about Weah? What kind of conversations do you want to have, Albert? Pete, did you see the USMNT group locations? You're getting 2 freaking games. Yes, Rascality. Sadly, I will be able to go to none of them. But yeah, it's cool to have them here in LA. All right. Perfect beach weather here in Costa Rica. Is that where you are right now? We got the first USMT home match for the World Cup. I know, it's just hard for me to think about like the World Cup schedule. Like it's so far away. It's hard for me to think about it like that, you know? Although if you're living in LA, it's cool. It's going to be a lot of tourism between the World Cup and the Olympics. LA is going to shoot up. Was mad that USMNT is playing in LA until I saw NYC is getting the World Cup finals. Yeah, I thought Dallas was getting the World Cup final. Wasn't it Dallas? No. We could all be dead by then, says Chris Johnson. Congrats on the opening game, Pete. As an East Coaster, I think it's embarrassing that we're not seeing more cities. So there's misinformation here. One of us is wrong. J. Crew says NYC final. Caden Turner says final in Dallas. I think from what I heard, it's supposed to be Dallas. Announced that NJ is getting it at MetLife. So it is at MetLife. Hi, Tiago. How are you doing? Let me double check so I give the right information here. I thought it was at least leaked before that it was Dallas. But let's see what they say here. FIFA have confirmed the 2026 World Cup final, which will be played at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, will take place on July 19th. I didn't get to watch the FIFA announcement because I was too busy working on this PowerPoint, like Greg Berhalter. Well, I prefer New York to Dallas, but that's just my opinion. Don't come after me, Texans. Hey, Dallas is the best. We have Jesus Ferreira. All right, let's start with the top 10. Number 10 on the list is, of course, Zachary Booth, the Utrecht. He does not play for Utrecht. He plays for FC Volendam versus FC Utrecht. Played 80 minutes, had 1 goal, 88% passing accuracy, 1 foul drawn, 0 out of 1 accurate crosses, 1 out of 2 ground duels won, and 0 out of 5 aerial duels won. Yeah, so it wasn't like the best performance from Zach Booth or anything, but he got a goal, and it was kind of cool that he scored it against his brother. There was 4 goals from somebody with the last name Booth in this game. So good for him. This was the goal. It was a very easy goal. It dropped for him in the box off of a corner, and he was the first one to react and whack it into the back of the net. So good for him. I'm glad that he got his first goal for FC Volendam. He did get an assist for FC Volendam earlier in the year, and he is still just 20 years old, so maybe one to watch. I don't think he's really in the rotation for us yet, to be honest. Certainly not for the senior team, but good for him. Let's see how he continues to develop in the Netherlands. Number 9 is Leonard Maloney. Number 9, Leonard Maloney, the midfielder from Heidenheim, who was part of a team that got a 0-0 draw with Dortmund at home on Friday. played 90 minutes, was a key member of getting key in helping them to get that clean sheet against his former club. 79% passing accuracy, 5 passes into the final third, 3 out of 6 accurate long balls, 3 out of 5 ground duels won, 5 out of 5 aerial duels won, 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, and 6 recoveries for Leonard Maloney. Now, Maloney, the reason why I'm excited that, they did so well is now Dortmund, with the Terzic involved in charge, are now 5th in the table. And this was the first time they did not create a single chance in quite a few games. But it reminds people, to me, it should be a wake-up call about how much they need Gio. Because if they needed somebody to come on and create chances, but they don't have Gio anymore because they sent him to Nottingham Forest. So, screw Terzic. I hope they don't get Champions League. I really do. They don't fucking deserve it. What a terribly run club. Number 8, Anthony Robinson got an assist for Fulham in their 2-2 draw with Burnley. 2 chances created, 7 passes into the final third, won 2 out of his 2 tackles, 4 out of 6 ground duels won, 2 fouls drawn. He actually created 2 chances that were. This was the assist, to be honest. It was a clearance. The ball drops and he clears it over his head, but it was right into the path of his teammate, and his teammate went on to score it. Jordan Pefok from Mönchengladbach is number 7, played 90 minutes against Bayern Munich, and even though Gladbach lost this game 3-1, he still got the assist on Gladbach's goal. Other than that, he wasn't really that involved with the game, understandably too, considering that Bayern were, mostly had the ball and had possession. But it was a good little layoff here. Good hold-up play. Bayern didn't really mark him very well. He just laid it off for his teammate, and then bam, that made it 1-0. But sadly, Bayern went on to score 3 more. Kevin Paredes is number 6 because even though he didn't get an actual goal contribution in the game, he had a really good game. He's now probably officially a starter for them. Played 90 minutes, created 4 chances, which was the highest in the game. 1 blocked shot, drew 4 fouls, which was also a match high. Was also involved in the Wolfsburg winning that penalty. It was his cross that I don't remember. I think it was Meyer who got the header off target, but he was pushed as he was heading Paredes' cross off target. So they awarded Wolfsburg a penalty to make it 2-2. 1 out of 1 successful dribbles, 1 out of 1 tackle won, 6 out of 7 ground duels won, which is great because that was one of his bigger weaknesses in the past. And then 1 out of 4 aerial duels won, which, he's very short, so that's not going to surprise anyone. But good for him against Hoffenheim. They managed it with a 2-2 draw, and he had a really, really good game. I only have a few of the screenshots here. This was his first cross. I think this was also for Meyer. No, it's a different. Let me double check this. Hang on. I think it was for Meyer. No, it's not the Meyer that you're talking about. You're talking about Meier, BMR. I'm talking about Majer. They pronounce it Meyer. So different guy. Anyways, got the cross, but this one was headed off target. He also had a really nice layoff from which a teammate hit the post. And then this was the one where he got the penalty. He beat this guy here. He had him further up on the touchline. And again, all these clips are going to be on Patreon this afternoon. The full clips of not just the goals or the assists, but the overall performance clips are going to be on Patreon if anybody wants to check that out. Beat his man, put the cross in. Meyer goes in to head it, gets pushed in the back. They get a penalty. He goes on to score it. So really, really strong game from Paredes this week after scoring last week for Wolfsburg. So long as he keeps playing like this, he'll keep his starting lineup spot for sure. A couple of super chats here, which I'll answer. First one is Julian Vivas. Do you think Zach Booth can go to the Olympics? Also, I want Taylor Booth to go to Copa America and Brendan to go to the Olympics. With Brendan, the problem is you would have to use an overage spot, Julian, which I wouldn't use an overage spot on Brendan. I don't think he's worth it. I think we need to use overage spots on guys like probably a Josh Sargent, because we need a striker. We don't have a good Olympic striker. And if anybody says Duncan Maguire, I'm going to strongly disagree. I'm going to take exception to the word good. And center backs. Outside of Jalen Neal, I don't really see any, Olympic eligible center backs that we can rely on. So I would use my overage spots on those guys and then probably take guys like Taylor Booth, maybe Kevin Paredes, although I'd probably prefer Paredes to be with the Olympics. I mean, with the senior team for Copa America, and then send Taylor Booth to the Olympics. Here's the thing about Aronson. Aronson doesn't necessarily have to be there. What is Aronson really good for at this point, right? If we ask ourselves, based on the last year and a half, what is Aronson? The only thing that you can really rely on Aronson, doing well is running around, pressing, trying to win the ball, trying to get tackles in. Not a whole lot of good from an attacking perspective. So the only way you would really use Aronson is if you were up 1 or 2-0 and maybe in the last 10 minutes you wanted somebody who's there defending. Okay? In that case, if you're going to bring somebody on who's going to help to win duels and press and run around and just, cause general chaos, which is really all Aronson can do, I would just bring Leonard Maloney. Leonard Maloney is not great on the ball either, but the dude is a defensive midfielder. So why not just bring on Leonard Maloney and have him defend? Or Johnny Cardoso. Or if Johnny Cardoso is starting, bring on Tyler Adams. I don't see the need to bring in a winger just because he's a hard worker or he runs a lot. At this point, if you want a defensive player for that final role, bring an actual defensive player. So you can leave Aronson at home. Honestly, if you want, the 4 wingers could easily be Pulisic, Weah, and Paredes. And then the 4th one could be Luca de la Torre, who's technically a central midfielder, but he can also play wide. Weston McKennie can play wide. Yunus Musa can play wide. Gio can play wide. We have enough central midfielders that can also play wide. Sargent can play wide if you decide to bring him and you send Pepe to the Olympics, for example. You could also bring Sargent. I wouldn't be a big fan of bringing Sargent as a third striker because then he won't get much game time, and I think he'd be much more valuable to us over at the Olympics. Chuck says Luna over Aronson. I agree at this point. If you're going to bring an attacking player, bring an attacking player. Diego Luna has some skill, some technique, some unpredictability about him. Haji can play wide, says SL. Also true. Koleosho, we don't know if we'll have him, Albert. But yeah, at this point with Aronson, I don't think we even need to bring him to either of these. Will I be mad if he's the last guy on the roster? Probably not. I'm just not sure what he's actually going to offer. That's my issue with Aronson. Okay. What do you think of Chris Richards' season so far? Well, I'm glad he's playing. Even if it was at first, it was at the 6th defensive midfield and then at right back. Now it's in a back 3. And with Gahey injured, we don't know how long, Gahey's been out for. So, or how long he's going to be out for. He got injured in that last game, so we'll see. But Richards is starting every week for the last, 10 games now in the Premier League? Or 10 games total? So, good for him. He's getting valuable experience. Luna ain't ready for the A squad. But, Chris, who would you bring over Luna? Who would you bring over Luna? If Luna is your last winger, who would you bring over him? And, again, it's about, is he ready for the A squad? What are your options? That's more how I try to look at it, right? What are your other options? If you're asking me, if I want to bring an attacking player and I bring Brendan Aronson or Diego Luna, I would probably bring Diego Luna. If I want a defensive player, I'd probably bring, I don't know, someone like I said, Leonard Maloney. S27 says he would bring Booth. Okay, but guys, we can't have no wingers for... Otherwise, who's going to be the wingers then? This is the problem. Who's going to be the wingers for Olympics? If we bring Paredes and Booth to the Copa America team to be backups, and I'm fine to bring one, but not both, we need some good wingers on the Olympic team too. So who's going to be the wingers then? Answer me that. Okay, but Haji is overage. So you can't bring Haji to the Olympics, or you start sacrificing quality at center back or potentially sacrificing quality up front. Where are you going to put? Where are you going to put him? Glad many people here care about Olympic soccer. Yes, Thiago. I think for me, I guess I care more about having good rosters, as good as possible rosters for both teams. So if you're asking me, Kevin Paredes, how many minutes is he going to play in Copa America? 20 minutes, maybe? Is he ready? Or we could start him in every game in the Olympics and have a chance of doing really well. It's a balancing act for sure. It's tough. But you're out on Kao and Kumungo now. I don't think Kao or Kumungo are very good. I think they're fine MLS prospects. Kao only has ever really looked good at the youth levels, right? Like, at what point are we going to go, Kao is what Tack and I have been saying, Kao is for a long time, and that is a very physically athletic, gifted player. And so he looks good at the under 20 levels and the under 17 levels. But even in MLS last year, he wasn't very good. Why do we think he's going to be good in the Olympics now? Right? I want wingers at the Olympics that I think can really be, offer something. And I think probably Luna is that guy. Booth is that guy. Paredes is that guy. Now, I also want enough backup quality for Copa America too. So I'd probably bring, it depends. Definitely Booth goes to Olympics for me. Paredes probably goes Copa America, but maybe Luna would go Olympics too. I'm not sure. Maybe Esmir in the Olympics too. That's a fair one. Esmir showed some bright flashes in January camp. Let's see what Esmir looks like for New England Revolution. Okay. I'm biased towards soccer players from Utah, LOL, and especially since they are both LDS. I'm LDS too. Gotcha. All right, let's continue. Johnny Cardoso has just slipped into being a really good La Liga player. He just walked into La Liga from the Brasileirão and showed that he's ready for it, Played well against Barcelona, played well against Still Mallorca, played well against, Getafe. Won that penalty. Wasn't like an amazing penalty win or anything. Had 3 passes into the final third. 3 out of 6 tackles won. 2 high claims is not a thing. He's not a goalkeeper. That's an old line. 10 out of 12 ground duels won, which was a match high. And that's the one thing. The Brasileirão is very physical, very intense. And so they're used to the physical challenge of La Liga while also being very technical players. 3 out of 7 aerial duels won. Really, really good to see Johnny looking so comfortable in La Liga, our boy. Tyler Adams better be looking over his shoulder. This was him winning that penalty. The ball dropped in the box, and he got his foot to him, to it first, and he got kicked in the back of the heel, which earned a penalty for Betis to make it 1-1. The only part of Johnny's performance that I didn't enjoy is that there wasn't enough semi-violent tackles on that rapist. What's his name? Mason Greenwood. But that's a different topic. He made a couple of good challenges in midfield, and I was like, bro, none of these challenges are on, Mason Greenwood. Go get him. Number 4, and it's very, very rare that you will see a Belgian player in the Belgian league this high, but Griffin Yao in 74 minutes against Cercle Brugge scored 2 goals, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 0 out of 2 accurate crosses, 4 passes into the final third, 5 out of 8 ground duels won, and 1 out of 2 aerial duels won. This was the first goal. It was cut back to him. He was making a run towards the far post, and the ball actually came behind him. So as you can see here, he had to stretch backwards and touch it 1 touch into the back of the net, which he did do. This frame, this screenshot does not do this goal justice because this started with Brian Reynolds way back in his own half, dribbled downfield, swapped passes with Yao, got it back from Yao, beat a man, crossed it, it came off the defender, and Yao was there to tap it home. So the full clip is available on Patreon and after this show. But yeah, good for them. They got that 4-2 win over Cercle Brugge with Yao and Reynolds combining really nicely for this goal, and Yao getting the first 2 goals. Speaking of Olympic wingers, Griffin Yao is somebody I'd be honestly, a lot more comfortable with going to the Olympics than Cowell or Kamungo. But I still think we need Booth. If it's Booth and Yao, I'd feel a lot better, I'll be honest. All right. Number 3, the Ginger Ninja himself scored a goal against Coventry City in Norwich's 2-1 win. Played 89 minutes, 1 goal, 3 chances created, 4 out of 4 successful dribbles, 2 fouls drawn, 7 out of 7 ground duels won, and 2 out of 4 aerial duels won. Josh Sargent is back, uninjured, playing freely, scoring goals, looking like one of the best strikers in the championship. Not only scored a really nice volley, this ball did just drop to him, and he volleyed it into the back of the net really nicely here. But he also got a red card for Coventry. He got slid through. He won the foot race, took a good touch ahead of the defender, and the defender tackled him late. And too bad it wasn't in the penalty box, because then he would have won the penalty. But it did really help them get that last minute goal to help them get that 3 points. And remember, Norwich is still in contention for the promotion playoffs. They have to get into that top 6. I believe they are actually 7th now. Let me double check. Norwich are... Oh, no, they're 9th. They're way back. But they're not that far back in terms of points. They're 9th, but they have 44 points. Hull City in 6th have 45 points. So they are 1 point away from the promotion playoffs. Actually, there are a lot of Americans. Well, there are some Americans. West Brom are 5th with 48 points. That's Daryl DK. Coventry are 7th with 44 points. That's Haji Wright. And then Sunderland are 8th with 44 points. That's Lyndon Gooch. So there are quite a few Americans amongst the championship players aiming for promotion here. But good for Josh Sargent. 6th goal of the season, 7 goal contributions overall. Luca de la Torre played 89 minutes today for Celta Vigo, got 1 goal, 1 assist, drew 1 foul, won 3 tackles, 4 out of 7 ground duels, and 0 out of 2 aerial duels. And QPR by Reggie Ken. Where's QPR? They're not quite there, are they? Are they further back? Where are they? They're 22nd. I don't think they're really in the hunt for promotion there at 22nd place. They're trying to not get get relegated, sorry. So, Luca de la Torre, one of the biggest weaknesses, the thing that has always been my issue with Luca de la Torre, even though I've been one of his greatest advocates, is that he's goal shy. He rarely shoots in good positions and rarely has goal contributions. We saw this for a long time at the Eredivisie when he was playing there, and then in his first year at Celta Vigo. And he had 3 assists before 2024 this season. So not terrible, not great. But then he's just exploded. He got a goal and an assist against Valencia, and then he got a goal against Athletic Bilbao, and then a goal and assist today against Osasuna. So 5 goal contributions in 3 games. Boy, excuse me, guys. So love to see it. This was the goal. Good run, not like, the greatest goal or anything, but made the good run, got on the end of the cross, slammed it home. He wasn't always making these runs into the box, and that's definitely an element of his game that I've seen him add to. Okay? Bro ignored my super chat. Yeah, I'm not going to read that super chat, buddy, for obvious reasons. Okay? Luca de la Torre, and this was the assist. I'm going to go assist, because even though it was a good pass to Jacob Strand Larson, it was still, Larson picked it up on the left-hand side, beat 2 or 3 players, dribbling infield, beating some players, and then scored. So it wasn't the unassist, but, it wasn't like the greatest assist. Was he playing left winger? Yes, he does. Yes, he played left winger. He's been playing left winger for quite a while, mostly for Celta Vigo. Okay. So yeah. And last but not least, of course, Taylor Booth of FC Utrecht got a hat trick against his brothers FC Volendam in only 89 minutes. Also created 2 chances, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 foul drawn, 6 out of 10 ground duels won, and 1 out of 1 aerial duels won. So good for him. They were nice goals, too. This was a beautiful goal, creating a little space for himself, and then right into the far post with the shot from just inside the box. This was, for me, the most beautiful goal. You can't really tell what it is here, but the cross comes to him, and yes, he's in the 6-yard box, but he's facing away from goal with a defender on his back and a goalkeeper behind him. So he's got a defender and a goalkeeper. Defender and goalkeeper behind him. Back. It wasn't, he didn't hit it with his back heel, but it went between his legs, and he, slid it behind him with the inside of his right boot through the defender's legs and through the keeper's legs to make his second goal. And then his third goal was with his weaker left foot. He was sprung on the edge of the box, took a touch away from the defender, and whacked it into the far corner. So Taylor effing Booth. Taylor Booth. Taylor Booth. So that was Taylor Booth. They were singing and chanting his name. His dad was in the stands to watch. His brother Zach, according to them in their post-match interview, they have a bet that's, whoever scored more goals in that game had to pay for dinner. Zach's going to have to buy him dinner, and he's like, I'm going to make sure Taylor Booth said, I'm going to make sure it's an expensive 5-star dinner. So good to see that the banter is alive. Guys, this is not the straight red card. Maybe some of the more injury-prone players had emergency circumcisions because they had relations with their first. Jack, appreciate the sponsorship of the channel, but those can be best appreciated by our friends over at the Straight Red Card. Tiago. Oh, yeah, I read Tiago's and Julian's and Jack's. All right. So that was a really good week. And apart from that, Gio made it off the bench for Nottingham Forest. He'd only been there a few days. He only played about 12 minutes, but I think he showed enough in those 12 minutes. And with Callum Hudson-Odoi going off, I think he'll probably start the next game. I will say I am a little bit concerned about the style of play with Forest and whether or not Gio will fit into it, because when he came on, you could tell they were, he was trying to keep possession, play make, one-touch passing, combining, dictating the tempo of the game. You could tell he was very comfortable dictating tempo and very comfortable on the ball. And they would start to build up a little bit of steam around the box, and then they would go with like a ball over the top for Awoniyi or for Elanga, like a Hail Mary. I don't know if Gio Reyna fits into the way that Nottingham Forest play. And I don't want to say he's too good for Nottingham Forest, but he plays a completely different style of football. And if Nuno Santos decides he wants to use him that way, fine. I hope he does, but I am a little bit concerned that they play a very direct, very frenetic style of play, which doesn't really suit the way that Gio wants to play. So we'll see how Gio can adapt there. I don't think, this is one of the concerns that we had about Nottingham Forest, him going there, but it's 4 months. Hopefully he learns something. I don't expect Gio to have a massive impact because I don't think they're set up for him to be successful. I think he's going to have to adapt a fair bit. And this direct, frenetic style of play, I don't think is going to suit Gio. But, hopefully he can help them in some ways and then go back to Dortmund when they fire that Terzic. And we'll see what happens. But, he definitely looked smooth, looked comfortable, didn't look overawed by the Premier League at all when he came in. So we'll see how they use him. But definitely a class addition for Nottingham Forest if they can figure out who Gio is and how to use him, which I doubt. Personally, I don't know if they can or if they're going to, but we'll see. All right, guys, let's do the I'm going to get the Discord up here, but before I do, I'm going to play a word from our sponsor. And while I do that, I'm going to go get some water because my throat is starting to itch, and then we'll get into the Discord. Okay, I put the link to the Discord at the top of this chat. If any of you want to, let me see if there's anybody there yet. Yeah, we got a couple guys already in the waiting room. Great. So if you want to chat, I got a good half hour here. so we can definitely chat. Let me play this word from our sponsor while I get some water, and then we'll dive in.
Fantasy Sports is back with a new and improved pick'em game across all sports that makes it easy to play fantasy sports with just a few clicks. Each sport allows you to build a parlay that includes between 2 and 5 predictions about the outcomes of player projections. As you would expect, the more picks you include, the greater the potential payout. Don't go crazy with it and play responsibly, but adding a few bucks here and there to a game gives it a little more excitement and stakes. Use my promo code 11yanks or click the link in the description to start playing, and Underdog will match whatever you put in your account up to $100. Enjoy!
Perfect timing. All right. Let me get we got the Discord up in here. Pete, where is background music? We need to improve the vibe. I used to have background music, and people said it was distracting, and they didn't like it. So I got rid of it. I nixed it. Okay. Let's see. Where is this? Who do I drag? Oh, first up is Thiago Martins. Let me just get this onto the screen. Hey, Thiago, how you doing? Hello? Hello? Thiago, you there? Thiago is missing. Absent. Thiago? It says you're on mute, Thiago. You have to unmute yourself. Hello? All right. Thiago, we'll try this again another time. Stay in the waiting room. We'll drag you up. Let's get Jeffrey Hernandez in here. Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm almost going to work. You know, watching and calling in from Japan is kind of hard with the time zones.
Yeah, that is. What time is it for you now?
7:30 a.m. on a Monday.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like the first thing I want to say is, man, I'm really pissed that the U.S. is playing 2 games in LA. They're in the group stages. Okay. I know that you're in LA and you love LA, but that's some bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm not going to go to any of the games because Tack and I will cover it on YouTube. At least not the U.S. game. So I don't really care where they have it. Where else would you have put? Do you think LA deserved 1 game?
Yes. LA definitely deserves 1 game, right, but not 2 games.
So where would you have put the other one?
Let me see. They have Seattle. They have LA.
But Seattle
somewhere in the. Right? Yes. So I would either put it maybe in Texas or somewhere in the East Coast. I'm a New Yorker, so I would put it in New York, but that's biased. But anywhere that's not LA, I would have been happy with.
Here's the thing, though. Do we want these guys doing cross-continental travel? That's the only question. Sure, wouldn't it be better to keep them on the same coast so they're not like traveling and then you have jet lag and all these things and, you know, travel time? Like, shouldn't we try to make it as easy as possible for the team? Like, I agree with you. 2 games in one city doesn't seem very spread out, right? So I agree with you there. My only concern is if you put one in New York, now you're talking about a 6-hour flight plus 3-hour time difference. Like, it's not a huge mess up, and there is enough time between games. They're 6 or 7 days apart, so I could see arguments for that. But I do think minimal travel time in between games is probably a good thing.
I agree, but like I said, minimum, not LA twice. And I will say this might not be a good argument, but hey, we did it in Brazil, and we didn't do too bad.
Yeah. Vegas is one of the host cities too, right? Or is it not?
I think so. I might be wrong.
Vegas, because that's like a 3-hour, it's a half an hour flight from LA, and it's pretty much the same time zone. But I don't remember if Vegas was one of the other host cities. Somebody in the chat.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm trying to save money to go to the World Cup, but maybe in hindsight, maybe coming to Japan was a bad idea. Maybe I should have gone to Japan after the World Cup, because I'm making 30% the amount of money I was making as a teacher in New York.
Ah, wow. Okay. So you're saving money for the World Cup. Well, if you're in LA, come. I mean, I won't be at the game, but maybe we'll do like a fan hangout or something in between games. That'd be cool.
No, yeah, that'd be cool. And if we still have time, maybe one more question. I wanted to talk about Japan a little bit, because I feel like some people, maybe you and Tack, but like some people, I think Japan is a little bit overhyped right now. And I know that that's controversial.
Go ahead. Explain.
All right. So they're not a bad team by any means. They're really good. You know, at the World Cup, they beat Germany and they beat Spain. I don't think the U.S. could have done that. But when you look at the results of like tournaments, they always do the same as the U.S. Like, they never get out of the group stage, just like us. You know, they don't always win the Asian Cup. Like, they lost to Iran. And then before this one, Qatar was the champions. So in my eyes, if you're losing to Qatar, you know, then you're not amazing. Granted, that was 8 years ago, so a lot of things could have changed by then. But yeah, and then I go to J-League matches. Granted, my local team ended up 12th in the table out of 20, but my local team is pretty bad. I have to see the number one team play, but I have a feeling that the J-League is probably at the same level as MLS. I definitely think that they're not as good as Liga MX. So I just think that Japan is a little bit overhyped. That's just me. What do you think?
So
also, one more thing. Picking up the friendly matches, I hate when people bring it up. Friendly matches don't matter.
Gotcha. Let me say this. I was talking to Tack about Japan about 2 weeks ago, and I was telling Tack, Japan's big hurdle, even though they're getting a lot better at developing more technical players who are savvy and can play at a high level, and you're starting to see more and more and more of those guys playing in Europe. So I do think Japan is getting better. What Japan has always struggled with, and I think will continue to struggle with until they get over that hump, is mentality. Japan has to learn how to win games they should be winning, because it's fine to get an upset win over a Spain or a Germany, but being able to grind out ugly wins over teams sometimes that you feel like you should be winning is Japan's big weakness. It's like you say, there's a lack of consistency there, right? Yes, they got out of the group. Yes, they beat Spain and Germany in the World Cup. They haven't won the last 2 Asian Cups. Oftentimes, they play down to their opposition, or oftentimes they have one style of play, and when teams try to stymie that and stifle that, it doesn't always work. So I do think Japan is very much on the up and up, and I think they're going to be a big team to contend with in the future. Mentality, Japan has got to show that they can win when it matters, when the pressure is on them. Because, yeah, upset wins are great, but if I don't want to say they're easier, because they're not, but there's no pressure with an upset win. Nobody would blame them for losing to Germany or Spain. But when they're playing a team that they're supposed to beat, like an Iran, that's where you have to show up and get the job done if you want to be considered a big team in the world. So it's more of a mental block, and they have to learn to find that consistency. But in terms of player development, I do think they're ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of Japan, because Japan is a soccer country. Baseball's number one, soccer's number two. And yesterday I was hanging out with my tutor, and she told me, "You love soccer, right? Did you play?" And I'm like, "No, I never played, because I didn't have friends in New York that played soccer, so there's no pickup culture."
Right.
If I wanted to be a basketball guy, it would have been extremely easy. There's a pickup culture for basketball in New York, not for soccer. So
yeah,
they have a cool soccer culture here in Japan. They love soccer.
Yeah, no, for sure. And not just do they love it, they have a plan. I remember I worked for a Japanese coach when I was in India. I was his assistant coach. And he was telling me that Japan had a 100-year plan to win the World Cup. A 100-year plan. So they understand a long-term thing, and they understand that it starts with developing very, very young players to be very technically proficient, and then from there you build on up. Now, I think they could win the World Cup long before 100 years. I think they made this plan in the early 2000s, so it's about 80 years away. But they want to be considered a world power in soccer, the way that Brazil or Argentina or France or Spain or Germany, that's what they want. And they have a 100-year plan to get there. And everybody, all the coaches follow the same development models. They have a clear plan on how they want to become, a big world power. So we don't really have that. We have loose organizations here and there. Some MLS teams doing good jobs, some not so much. We have we have it in pockets, but we don't have the same concentrated focus that Japan has. So let's see.
Yeah.
I do got to go to the next one, Jeffrey, but good luck at work. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man.
Have a good one, all right?
Yeah, you too.
All right, President Ship.
How's it going?
How you doing, man?
Doing good. Hey, man. So I heard you talk earlier about Dortmund. Normally on normal circumstances, I'd be kind of pressed because, I don't like it when people talk trash about my club. But what you said was needed to be said. So I just want to go ahead and say thank you for speaking the truth about this club. Please get Terzic out of here. I don't want this man to be my manager anymore. I'll have to see him next season again. I'm going to lose it. And it was sad to see Gio go, but from a U.S. national team perspective, from a non-Dortmund fan perspective, I think it's what he needed. It's good for him. And
yeah,
I know we have concerns about Nottingham Forest, but personally, Pete, I think if he can find his groove, I think this could be the right move.
I mean, it's not really. I guess as a loan, sure. I mean, I wouldn't want him there permanently for sure. I'm actually kind of happy that he re-signed with Dortmund because there's a good chance Terzic might not even be there in the summer. They might have Sven Bender running the team, for all we know, or another coach. So maybe because this is really the first Dortmund coach that hasn't rated Gio, right? So
yeah,
re-sign with them till 2026. He does love the club. He talked about he could be at Dortmund for life. He talked about this last summer. I think he's just really frustrated with Terzic. So yeah, we'll see what happens at Forest. I'm not sure that, they really fit with how he can play. And I think a lot of people who don't really understand the game might watch him at Forest and go, oh, I don't think he's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. But when you watch him play, he's setting tempo. He's getting the team to play on the front foot, making one-touch passes, trying to combine, looking for pockets of space, doing what a playmaker does. But if everybody else isn't on the same page as him, then I think they might struggle. So we'll see how they use him and how they adapt, and more specifically how he adapts, because he's going to have to adapt to that club. But it's a fit. It's a question of fit. If it doesn't work out, I guess we'll go back to Dortmund and we'll see from there.
Yeah, I hope, because that's what I was going to ask too, is because what happens after this loan is done? Does he go back if Terzic is still there, or if he's not there? Obviously, if he's not there, then I'm sure he'll be fine with it.
The thing is, because I think he signed a 2-year deal. So even if he says I don't want to be here, Terzic,
that's a good point.
Going to do,
that's a good. Forgot about the 2-year deal.
He kind of has to.
Well, my only concern would be because I don't want Terzic there, club, because of Gio. Just regardless in general, this man is not good for this club. He's not the right manager. It's just if he continues to have success in the Champions League, my concern is they'll be like, okay, he got us into the top 4 in Bundesliga, so we're going to be back in there next year.
Is he going to be in the top 4? They're 5th now.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll make it. I haven't checked the points.
So they're behind Leverkusen, Stuttgart, Leipzig, Bayern. No, it's Leverkusen, Bayern, Stuttgart, and Leipzig are all ahead.
I think we're 12 points behind 4th. So we probably don't make 4th, to be honest. I think Europa Leagues are best
you're
bet.
a lot closer than 12 behind 4th. You're a lot closer than that. Let me look it up.
Okay. Well, we might.
Right now, Dortmund is in 5th, I believe. No, they're in 4th. Leipzig is not ahead of them yet. My bad. They are 37 points. They're in 4th. They're 1 point ahead of Leipzig, who have 36.
Okay.
So they are in 4th. They're basically going to be fighting Stuttgart and Leipzig for those last 2 spots because Leverkusen at 52, Munich are at 50. So it's 3 clubs fighting for 2 spots.
Yeah, that's just my concern though. He'll get fourth, so we'll be back next year. And let's say he beats PSV, convincingly or not, we just beat PSV and do something crazy in the quarters. Like let's say we get Barca or something like that, and we beat them and make a. I think we don't. I think whoever we meet in the semis, we get absolutely thrashed by home and away, both legs. I think if he does that, makes the semis. There's a good chance he'll stay. Unfortunately,
yeah, I think
that's my concern.
Chances of him making a semis are pretty slim, in my opinion, because
it depends who we get in the quarters.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to the quarters, like I don't think PSV is a conclusion. Like I'd probably think Dortmund is favorites, but the way that they're playing under Terzic, I don't necessarily think it's a foregone conclusion they're going to beat PSV.
Yeah, maybe that's just my overconfident fan bias talking. I just think like when it's all said and done, PSV will be knocked out. But
maybe you might be right.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if we lost to PSV.
But also, top 4 is not guaranteed. If they play like they've been playing against Heidenheim and how they've been playing most of the season, I'd say they're not even. I'd say Stuttgart is more likely to get top 4 if Dortmund keeps playing the way they're playing. Because I think, you look at those 3 games in the second half of the season after the winter break. Yeah, they won all 3 of those games. Those were all relegation-threatened teams. Heidenheim was the first decent to good team, mid-table team that they faced, and they couldn't even create a single chance. So it feels like Terzic ball is exactly the same. Nothing has changed,
It's just, there's just dry no ideas, and it doesn't help that you buy no gettins. Oh, man.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Terzic or Berhalter, who would you rather have to deal with?
Oh, still Terzic.
For the U.S.
Berhalter, there's just a level of stupidity there and stubborn stupidity. Like, it's one thing to be stupid. It's another thing to be stubborn. Berhalter is both stubborn and stupid. Also, some people say this doesn't factor in. Every time I see his face, I can't unsee him beating his wife. Like, I know people are going to... No, I'm sorry. Here's my take, okay? People are going to say, oh, it was many years ago. He was young, whatever.
Yeah.
We have all been young, and I can't speak for everybody in this chat. I was young and stupid and did many dumb things in my life. Not once in my entire life has it ever even occurred to me to hit a woman, much less beat her. Like, he didn't just hit her once. He beat her, he hit her, kicked her twice while she was on the ground, and was tackled by a bystander. So we don't know where this could have gone. To me, if you have that on your record, I can't respect you as a human being. Forget as a soccer coach. Like, I don't even want to hang out with you, Yeah. So I'm so sick of this guy beyond all the soccer things, everything else about him, outing Gio publicly, that whole thing. He tried to place himself as the victim in that whole thing, and U.S. Soccer did their best to paint Danielle and Claudio as the bad guys, and they certainly weren't perfect. But the way Berhalter came out is just like, oh, I'm just this poor victim. No, you started this whole thing to begin with, and you mistreated Gio at the World Cup too. So let's stop pretending like you are, this just innocent, oppressed victim in all of this.
Yeah. Hey, everybody in the Discord is still down to go to Atlanta and make you and Tech manager and have you guys be on the staff, because I'd much rather have you and Tech be on that sideline than Greg Berhalter, honestly.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
That would be hilarious.
And as for the so everybody with the situation of us being in LA twice. So San Francisco is a World Cup venue. So we could have had a game in San Francisco, Seattle, and LA instead of LA, Seattle, LA. So I think that's what people, because I haven't heard anybody Instagram here. I haven't heard anybody mention that yet, which is interesting. I heard Dallas, but I think Dallas is too far away. Though jet lag, it's not good.
Well, the San Francisco, right, is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you do LA, honestly, you should just go. What you could have done is gone LA, San Francisco, Seattle, just climbed up the West Coast.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. I don't know why, I guess if you look at most World Cups, usually it is 2 stadiums per group. So I guess we'll see what that looks like. Brett Oppenheim says 2 USMNT group stage games in LA. Let's go. Sorry, East Coast. Nothing but love. I'm so freaking pumped. Yeah, you're going to be at those games. No, Brett. Hop on the Discord if you want, Brett. All right. What else?
But yeah, hold on 1 second for East Coasters. Listen, you guys always get the U.S. Men's national team games. Cincinnati, Kansas City. Like, let us have one, please.
Wait. That's not the East Coast. That's the Midwest. East Coast is like
I consider
New York,
all that East Coast, man.
Atlanta, Charlotte. Like, that's the East Coast.
Okay.
Not the Midwest. Is not.
Yeah, but that's from us. It's far away. Like, we're on the. You and I are both on the West Coast. It's so far away. They're all far away.
It's far, but it's not quite. If you go tell a Midwesterner they're on the East Coast, they're gonna have issues.
Yeah, I actually have done that before, and they were on my case about it. So you're not wrong. Oh man! And then my last thing I wanted to cover here, and it's been on my mind for a while. So I think Tech met them because he was on their podcast. I don't know if you did, but it's the Give and Go podcast. So I was listening to their thing, and they had said they were talking about the Copa America group stages, and when they got to us, I forgot which one of the two said it, but they were both basically in agreement on Group C. Our group is pretty much a direct quote. I'm going to paraphrase probably because I don't know exactly what they said, but is the hardest group out of the four and the most challenging and the most tough in terms of competitiveness.
No.
And how close everybody is in talent. And I simply just sat in my chair, paused the video, and just stared for like 10 minutes in confusion.
What?
Because I don't think Group C is I don't think we're in the group of death.
No.
At all. What do you think?
Even close. Let me pull up the groups here. It might be the easiest.
I think it's the easiest by far.
So Group A is Argentina, Peru, Chile, and then either Canada or Trinidad and Tobago. To be fair, that's a pretty easy.
That might be easier.
That might be easier. Probably the easiest group. Okay.
Yeah.
Group B is tough. Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Because Ecuador is probably has the most talent there, but Mexico they're not at home, but they're in their second home, the United States. And you never know. Venezuela's hard. I mean, but Jamaica can surprise. They certainly have the talent to surprise. U.S., Uruguay, Panama, Bolivia. For me, there's a very clear halfway point, and that is the U.S. and Uruguay versus Panama and Bolivia. Does Uruguay have more talent than us? Yes, but it's not so drastic. When you watch them, the talent that they have some world-class talent. But if you look across that starting 11, they've got some Liga MX starters. They've got, it's not just all these world-class players. It's not. Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and then either Costa Rica or Honduras. I don't think there is a group of death. I think Group B might be the closest to a group of death just because of the similarities in levels, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a clear group of death here, but I definitely don't think ours is the hardest group by any means.
Oh, no, it's definitely third. I put it in the third in terms of what's the hardest. And the only reason why I would consider Group B the group of death, which seems to be besides according to them, the consensus on the hardest group is because I think textbook definition of a group of death is all four teams have the ability to have all equal chances. Like, you could see any of these four countries going on. And I think so too. I think Venezuela's, how they're doing in qualifiers, their momentum, I think that could carry them. Ecuador, you said it. Mexico, I mean, they're in their second home. And Jamaica, on a good day, can beat anyone, in my opinion. I think that Jamaican team, when they're on their good day, because they're very inconsistent for some reason, very, very inconsistent. I think they could just maybe win all three. Like, go as far as to saying that when they're on a good day. So I can see any of these four countries moving on, as well as getting grouped. That's why I consider that one group of death. But I get what you're saying. And yes, Group C is not. If we don't get out this group, Pete, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
I was talking to Dak about this a couple weeks ago. I was like, you know what my worry is? It's like we don't get out of the group, and everybody, and it might even get Greg Berhalter fired, which at least would be one silver lining. But then the problem is they hired Jesse Marsh.
Oh no.
That's honestly what I think they would do. They might fire Greg and then hire Jesse. And if you listen to the absolute nonsense that Jesse's been spouting recently, like he thinks Miles Robinson should be a starter over Chris Richards, for example.
Oh my gosh.
I heard that Gio is a situational starter. Like, he doesn't even consider a Gio necessarily a locked-in starter for this team, which is absolute
Oh gosh.
Just the stuff that he's been saying on this like podcast, running his mouth with all kinds of nonsense. I'm like, I don't know. He definitely has more charisma than Greg, and certainly has less, assault and battery on his record as far as we know. But other than that, would he really be better than Greg? I'm not so sure. I think he might try to turn us into a run and gun pressing merchant team.
Yeah, which we don't have the players to do that, obviously.
Certainly not our best players, right? Pulisic, Gio, McCann. That's not, Brendan Aronson's going to probably be his favorite player if he becomes the coach. Brendan Aronson captain. Brendan Aronson and Tyler Adams might be his guys, that never get dropped. I'm just saying it's Jesse Marsh. He is the disciple of the old school pressing way. So that's my big concern is even if we get Greg fired, we'll get this other clown.
Yeah, he can't even pronounce Yunus Musa.
No. Calls him
Yusuf Musa.
Yusuf Musa.
Yusuf.
Like, bro.
He was struggling, man. Like, what? Hey, Musa might leave. He might go back to England if we hire him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Jesse, to me, I've got plenty of issues. I think if we got, what's the Hoffenheim coach? Pellegrino Matarazzo, that would be different. I would take him in a heartbeat, but Jesse, I'm not so sure he would even be an upgrade on Greg.
Yeah. And did you hear, like, when Moreno got he's no longer with Roma, obviously everybody was like, okay, guys, we let's get grouped in Copa America. Let's just take that. All right. And let's get Moreno. Let's get him. Let's bring him in. But I don't think he's gonna want to deal with the BS of the federation. To be honest with you, like all jokes aside, everybody was talking about it. Like you're not bringing in a Mourinho or Pep or any of these guys that people were shouting out. You're not for that reason.
Yeah, even if they were interested in the job, I think one look at U.S. soccer would turn them off. They'd be like, "What is happening over here?" Like there's no way, unless you offered ridiculous money, and then they wouldn't be coming for the job, they'd be coming for the money.
And they wouldn't, and they might not even do the best job at that point because it's for the money.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. For me, Matarazzo would be the clear candidate that I think should take the job. I'd honestly rather even have like a Steve Cherundolo than a Greg Berhalter, even like a Jim Curtin. I'd probably take Jesse Marsh over Greg Berhalter. Because that's like anybody but Berhalter at this point. But I don't know. I don't know that Jesse would be that much of an upgrade. I think there might be other issues.
Oh, definitely not. And okay, and here's my last question just to end off because I think this is something I think a lot of people should be thinking about. Would you rather, Pete, we make it out of the group?
Mm-hmm.
Second, we face Brazil. We get absolutely thrashed, like the Netherlands and Germany game. Like it's 3-1, 4-2.
Yeah.
Or we get grouped, and it's a very close one. It's like so close. Like we get grouped for like off a goal differential or yellow cards. Which scenario do you want to go through? Because I think in both ways, I think both scenarios, there's a chance that Berhalter stays in both.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a chance Berhalter stays involved even if we don't get out of the group. But I think there's a higher chance Greg goes if we don't get out of the group. Because you can spin a loss to Brazil. It's like, yeah, we're not Brazil. But it's hard to spin not getting out of that group. Like, it shouldn't be close, is my point. It shouldn't be close.
Yeah.
Right? And you can say, what are you? And people are going to say this in the comments. I can see it now. Pete, you're so arrogant. You're overlooking Panama. You're overlooking Bolivia. I'm not overlooking them. On their day, of course, anybody can cause trouble, right? Particularly if they decide to bunker, and they know Berhalter can't break down a bunker. But based on talent alone, the expectation that we should set is getting out of the group is the bare fucking minimum. It is not, oh, good job, pat you on the back, Greg. Klinsmann got us to a Copa America semifinal with less talent, right? Yeah. Getting out of the group is the bare fucking minimum. And I know the media is going to try to spin this as like, oh, he did job done, guys. And then lose to Brazil. Okay. It's easier to spin that. You can't spin not getting out of this group.
Yeah, that's because like It's not arrogance. We know we should get out of here. We could even get first. It's a huge possibility, and honestly, we should cheer for first. We should be confident in ourselves. But when you have this sorry motherfucker on the bounce passing and wearing Air Forces, you just don't, you just don't have any faith. And it's just like every time I go into these tournaments, whenever he's here, however long he's here, P. Because honestly, at this point, I'm thinking this man's gonna be here till the day he dies. I'm gonna go into these games and these tournaments just with a doubt, no matter how talented we are.
Yeah. So
no matter how many world-class guys we have,
I don't think we will ever reach our ceiling. He has Copa America to prove me wrong, right? Like if Greg goes and makes a Copa America final and loses to Argentina, fine. Now I'll be like, all right, Greg, well done.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it. I don't see it with Greg in charge.
Yeah. Well, let's pray for the best, Pete. That's all we can do.
That's all we can do. It's you have no power, right? You're just sitting there like, this guy's in charge of this team you love, and you have absolutely no say. It's the most frustrating thing in the world.
I know, man. We'll discuss what the Discord. We'll do a protest. Don't we?
Well, if we get grouped and they don't fire Greg, gonna have. Yeah, there's gonna be some.
We'll all be in Atlanta.
Yeah, let's go. All right. Should we get in?
All right. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, though, man.
No worries.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. All right. We have Chingasa Viente. Chingasa Viente. Hello. Hello. Chingasa, I think you're on mute. Hello? Chingasa, I think you got to get yourself off mute. All right, well, we can't hear you there. Let's try Tiago one more time, and then we'll come back to you, Chingasa. Tiago, you there? Tiago, you're on mute again, buddy. You have to unmute yourself or I can't hear you. Tiago, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Can anybody else in the chat hear Tiago? And maybe it's just me. All right. In the meantime, let's get this from Dave Valensky. Wait. Tiago, say something. Nope. Can't hear him. It has been 2 years ago this week that me and a friend froze our butts watching World Cup qualifying in Minnesota. Today it's 50 degrees in Minnesota. Oh boy. A lot of, you know what? I put on Twitter, I was like, because the U.S. soccer account on Twitter was bragging about that game. And I was like, guys, it's not something we should be bragging about. We put players in danger. We put fans in danger. It's really not a good idea. And a lot of people in the comments disagreed with me. A lot of people were like, don't be a pussy, man. It's not that bad. Shut up. You're from the South. One guy was like, he's probably brown. Like, it's this weird energy in the comments of like, insecure bros who have nothing going on in their lives, so they have to prove that they're a real man by like, you know, that guy who like in frozen cold weather like will wear shorts and then act like that makes him more of a man, like, oh, like this is going to be desirable to mate with, that your legs don't get cold. It's that kind of like energy in the comments. Oh, just like to whine about stuff. And, it's fine to disagree about whether or not that was a good idea. I just thought the energy was odd. Still nothing from Thiago here. We have Card Collectoria. Card Collector LA. Thiago, I'm going to have to kick you out because I can't hear you, man. I think your audio might be fried. But I'll put you back in the waiting room. Card Collector LA, what's up? Oh, wait. Let me drag you in first. Card Collector LA, what's up? Card Collector LA, what's up?
Pete, it's me, Brett.
Oh, hey, Brett, how you doing?
What's up?
Brett, I can hear my echo. You might have to mute me on YouTube.
Hey, Brett. I don't know can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear mine echo. You might have to mute me on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I muted you on YouTube. Does that work?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, my bad on that. Bro, I'm so pumped, man.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
I think
are you going to go to all the games, the LA games at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll go to every US game for sure. But the fact that I don't have to fly to 2 of them is, I don't know, man. It's like best case scenario. There was a point where I didn't even think we'd get a game because I think it was Stan Kroenke was hardballing FIFA, and I guess he got what he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he did. Do you think tickets are going to be really hard to get, though?
I mean, I would imagine thousands.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty brutal. But we got 2.5 years to prep for that.
Start saving, yeah. We have to start. Some of us have to start saving. I won't go to any of the games because I'll cover them on YouTube with TAC. At least not the US games. But man, it's going to be so fun to have that right here in our backyard.
Oh, I'm so pumped. And we only have to fly up to Seattle for the second one. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's best case scenario for me. I was pretty depressed for a while, thinking that we might not even get a game because that was the rumor.
Yeah. And
actually, somebody got me in touch with somebody really high up at FIFA. I was like at a club and I was talking to this girl. And she's like, "Oh, I'm friends with," and I think it was like the Undersecretary General of FIFA. I'm like, "Oh my God, give me your phone." She was texting him right there. I'm like, "Give me your phone." And I pretended to be her on the text. I'm like, do you think LA is going to get a World Cup game? And he texted back. He's like, "Yeah, there's no problem. That's just media stuff." And so ever since then, I was like, okay, well, maybe we are going to get a game, but I had no idea 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other teams that you like to watch apart from the US at the World Cup, or not really? Like, do you have a second national team?
I mean, is Messi going to be with Argentina? Probably not, right?
I doubt it. I mean, maybe, but if he is, he's going to be really old. What is he now? 37 in June, I think.
Yeah, I think
he'll be 39.
He could be like a token roster member, just like on the bench and coming in. I don't know, just to be like the face. He's going to be in America, in our league. It'd be weird if he wasn't, but maybe that's just me talking optimistically because I really want him to be part of it. But anyway, if he's not, I don't know. It's a good question. There's so many teams I like,
Yeah.
But like if there's an Asian or an African team that's doing really well, or sometimes
like
it's fun to watch like Brazil or even the UK, even England. Yeah, they'll be whoever the underdogs are. I've always liked Argentina and Uruguay. I don't know.
How you feeling about Copa America?
Second.
Like about our group.
I think our group's fine. I mean, I'm obviously like traumatized at the possibility of not getting out of group, but I'm always traumatized. So there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, I mean, losing to Trinidad and Tobago in November, it didn't lift spirits for sure in terms of our away record. And even the way we played at home, the game that I was at, we didn't play well at home. See, my worry is the way Panama play and the way that Bolivia play is they're going to bunker against us the same way that Trinidad and Tobago did. And if we struggle to break one of them down, we might go into that last game against Uruguay needing a win. That's my concern.
I think we'll probably need a tie against Uruguay. We needing a win is, I don't know, it's possible. I don't see how. I think we get at least 4 points out of the first 2.
We better at least.
Yeah, and so you don't need 7. 5 points probably puts you through. So if I had to guess, I would say we're going to go into Uruguay needing a tie, which is not great. But I don't know. As much as we kind of suck against lesser teams, especially on the road, we're going to be at home.
Yeah.
And I think when we really need to bring it, we bring it. If you look at all the games where we really needed to bring it, every single World Cup game, I'm not saying that we dominated or anything, but we didn't, we brought our A game, I feel, for the most part, even in the semifinals and the finals of the Nations League every year. Like I haven't seen us lay an egg against a good team in a competition in a while.
That's why I'm worried about. It's not the good team. It's the Bolivia and Panama that I'm worried about.
I don't even know if we've laid an egg in a really meaningful game in a while. Like you can look at the Costa Rica game qualifying. We didn't have to really do shit. It was disgusting.
Canada away.
It was disgusting, but it was a Panama away. Yeah, okay, but you're going to lay an egg when you got 14 games. I'm just saying, like in the really important ones, I don't see us laying eggs. Sometimes on the road, but at home, I think we're gonna get 4 points. I would just be really surprised if we lost the game, and hell, we might win both. I would be more surprised if we got less than 4 points than if we got 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think we should try to go for 6 points in those first 2 games because there's a chance we can try to avoid Brazil in the knockout round if we get first in our group.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I would not want to face Brazil.
I don't want to face Brazil in that first knockout game.
Although Brazil ain't what they were, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't want to.
Hard now because they have a coach. So before they didn't really have a coach. They had this interim coach who was also coaching a club team at the same time. I would never discount Brazil,
Oh, no, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I'm just saying they're not what they were. Just like Germany's not what they were. That's
a little different.
I definitely don't want to play them.
I think Brazil are actually better without Neymar. Tak's going to hate me for saying that, but I think Neymar is a big distraction on that Brazilian team, and I think without Neymar there, I don't know if he'll be there or not, how soon he'll recover from the injury. Certainly he won't be peak, but I think you give the keys.
I heard he's not going to be there.
Yeah, so if he's not there, and I actually think remember last time Brazil won the Copa America was when Neymar was injured. I think that Neymar brings a lot of drama and a lot of hype and a lot of like star power, but also a lot of like attention that is not necessary for the team. And I actually think the team is a more cohesive unit when Neymar's not there.
That could be. That happens sometimes with superstars, but there's so much more fun to watch with them. I mean, that's all I care about as a fan. I'm not a Brazil fan, so I could, I just want to be entertained. He's so freaking entertaining, man. He's
definitely
might be the most fun. Like, do you think he might be the most fun soccer player to watch right now in the world?
Probably. He's definitely up there. Most entertaining, yes. Mbappe can be entertaining at times.
I'd put Mbappe way up there, but I think I might have Neymar first, which is a pretty crazy thing to say.
Yeah, well, Neymar is more antics, and also Mbappe is very direct with the way he plays. Neymar is a little more like jogo bonito, a little more fun. He tries tricks and he tries things,
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, as a fan to watch, to be entertained, I think he's the most entertaining. Soccer player right now.
Yeah.
So it sucks. I mean, not that he's super entertaining in Saudi Arabia, but Copa America would have been fun.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Brett, I got a couple other guys waiting in the.
Do your thing, bro. Good catching up.
Yeah, good catch up with you, and let's get a game together sometime when the season starts.
Yeah, I'm down with that for sure. We got MLS coming up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Actually, I'm gonna go to the Inter Miami game. I think it's the first game for the Galaxy.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be at that game. I'll see if my boy can get extra tickets. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'd definitely come if you have tickets for sure.
I know he gets like I don't know, player tickets, but they might be pretty hard because it's Inter Miami. So I'll let you know what I can do.
That's fine. No worries.
All right, bud. Well, good catching up.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Brett. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Take care, man. Bye.
All right, let's try Shinga Saviente here. See if he's got his audio figured out yet. Shingas, you there? Guess not. Guess not. All right, let's talk to Amir. Amir, how you doing? You have to unmute yourself, Amir.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Hi, Pete. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm like weirdly nervous, even though I'm also a USMNT fan actor. I'm also an actor as well, and I weirdly wanted to see her play, but I never got a chance to reach out to you.
Oh, do you live in LA also?
Yeah.
Oh, dope. That's cool.
Yeah.
I to be honest, the play sold out super quickly, and tickets were like $75 a piece. So it was not cheap.
Do you mind sharing which theater it was at?
It was actually at the Manor. It was run by Theater 40, but it took place at the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills. So at the actual Manor where those events happened was where we did the actual play, in the very rooms that they happened. So it was very interactive in that way.
That's really cool. I'm sad I missed it.
Well, we'll do it again next year. So We'll probably do it every year.
Yeah, maybe I'll come by next year. I wanted to ask, so is when I think of like Tim Ream, I'm thinking of like a replacement for him down the line. The person who comes to mind is Jalen Neal, but like obviously like he still has like a lot of development to do. Do you think that within the next 2 years or so, like he'll be able to reach the point where he can be starting for us, where he can be on the left side? Or do you think it's just too soon? He won't be able to have enough time for a move in Europe as well as time to develop in Europe? Or, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that's feasible?
Yeah, I don't think 2 years is too soon. I'll say this. Remember, he already started for us in the Gold Cup and actually showed out quite well. And he did that at 19 years old. So I don't think we're so far removed from Jalen Neal starting for us at a World Cup. It's about how he continues to develop. And really, it's 2.5 years, right? When MLS kicks off, let's say he stays in MLS and they sell him this summer, let's say some European team likes Jalen and they go, oh, we think he's, the guy. So we'll buy him this summer, but we'll let you finish out the season with, him finish the season with Galaxy and then join us in January. He still has 1.5 years with a European team to be, continuing to develop and playing. So I think it is quite reasonable that he could start for us, but obviously it depends on the arc of his development. As far as his age goes, I'll say this. He would be the same age in 2026 as Chris Richards was in 2022. Now, Richards was injured, but if Richards was available, he probably would have started for us.
Okay, I see. And so do you project him to be the person to take that left spot next to Richards?
I'd say he has a high chance because he had a very good breakout year with the Galaxy last year. He's extremely good on the ball. I think of everybody in our pool under 25 years old, I think he might be the best on the ball. Although you could argue Brandon Craig, but Brandon Craig has other issues. I think, from what I've seen of Jalen Neal, to be able to start as a center back, even in MLS at 19, says a lot about who he is. To start for us in the Gold Cup, and honestly, he didn't look that bad. He had 1 or 2 scary moments, but I put more of that down to lack of experience. In terms of playmaking, he looked like the playmaker on the field, honestly. We didn't have a creative midfield. So, yes, I think Jalen Neal is probably the long-term partner for Chris Richards. Will he be ready by 2026? That is the question. Obviously you've got guys like Cameron Carter-Vickers or Austin Trusty who are probably they have higher chances of being the starter then. The problem is Trusty will be in the championship. And Carter-Vickers is going to be in the Scottish League because he just signed a new deal with them. So I'm not sure if that's ideal for us,
Okay, I see. And something else, so, you and Tack have talked about how, like, the best possible midfield for the U.S. will include, like, a box-to-box option, which is probably going to be Weston, a 10, which is probably going to be Gio, and, a defensive midfielder. Do you think, like, right now, Johnny has a higher chance of being that guy as opposed to Tyler?
Right now, Tyler's injured, so yes. But I will say, if Tyler comes back from injury, Berhalter is a big Tyler fan. Tyler was one of his captains. He was on his leadership council. He probably has multiple PowerPoint slides with just close-ups of Tyler Adams' face. He loves Tyler Adams. So and he doesn't love Johnny, really. Like, he's given Johnny precious few opportunities. So from Greg Berhalter's perspective, I don't think he considers Johnny even close to taking Tyler Adams' spot.
But for you, like, let's say Tyler comes back from injury.
Yeah.
He's the player he was pre-injury.
Yeah.
Johnny is the player he is today, and it's 2026. Who are you playing?
Depends on the opponent. I think Johnny is better on the ball than Tyler. So if we're playing, a team that is inferior to us and who we expect to have a lot of the ball against, I would probably play Johnny. If we're playing a team that is better than us, talent-wise, and we want to try and be a little more defensive, I'd probably go Tyler. So be a little situational. But 2 years from now, if you look at Johnny's development arc, and also we have to see what Tyler Adams looks like, when he comes back from this long, because it's going to be a year, that he won't have played. So we have to see what he looks like when he comes back. So I don't know. Right now, I'd say it's probably situational, but 2 years from now, it could be a situation where Johnny's locked in as the starter. Unless Greg is still in charge, in which case I don't think he would ever kick Tyler Adams out of the lineup.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you. I think a lot of the time when like I hear about this is the last question I've got, but like a lot of the time when I hear people talk about our potential squads for 2026, a lot of the time people will leave out Sargent because they'll say, well, Pepe and Balogun are just that much better than him. But how do you feel about Sargent? Because we don't have any standout winger options, right? How do you feel about like taking him there as a backup winger, and then if like we could play him in situational settings as a striker? So like let's say if we need like we have a set piece and there's only 10 minutes left in the game, he could be brought on as a striker, and then he could also be played as a backup winger as well.
I mean, right now, yeah, I can see that being an option. It's just so hard to know 2.5 years in advance. Like, because what are Kevin Paredes and Taylor Booth going to look like in 2.5 years? What's Esmir Baraktarevic going to look like in 2.5 years? You know what I mean? Like, what are our winger options? How do Pepe and Balogun continue to develop? How does Sargent himself continue to develop? So there are all kinds of question marks. It's just hard to project 2.5 years out.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all you do.
No
Your
worries,
channel's
man.
awesome, man.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Of course. Bye-bye.
All right, USMNT 16, last one, and then I got to close this. I got to take my dog to the vet. What's up, buddy?
Close this. Hey, what's up, Pete? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's your name?
Julian.
Hey, Julian. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right, man. How about you?
I'm good. Just nice to have a Sunday where I'm not performing.
That's always nice. Yeah, that actor lifestyle, that film lifestyle is terrible. Yeah. My weekends were shot when I worked in film. It was, yeah.
Oh, you worked in film?
It was so bad. Yeah.
What did you do in film?
I was mostly starting out, you're PAing, but I was doing like a little writing and DPing. Nice. I worked in a bunch of, so this was before like A24 was like really popular, like kind of like killed the indie scene along with Netflix. I was working like on a lot of indie films in New York. So that was really fun. But yeah, my weekends were shot. Those 12-hour days I don't miss those.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't film. It was a show that I was on, a play. But
gotcha.
Theater's pretty exhausting too. So.
Gotcha. But yeah, man, my West Ham got laid an egg against Manchester United. Which is
man.
I feel like at this point, just losing to Manchester United is it's kind of embarrassing at this point. But to be fair, the other Yanks, I mean, had a good day in Europe. I mean, Taylor Booth, I've been paying attention to a lot, and I know he's had a bad season, but it looks like he's starting to actually finally pick up. I know he had some like injury concerns this season, right? Or was he injured?
He was injured for a while, and he's struggled for a while actually with just niggling injuries and then not looking great when he came back. I hope this game is like a sort of a kickstart for him and he can really have a strong second half to the season. But he needs to find some consistency because it's great to have a game like this. Can he start doing that week in and week out? That's the question for Taylor.
It's actually funny you say that. I don't know if you remember that match. It was Utrecht and AZ. It was like 5-5.
For that game.
Where, yeah, Taylor had a really good game, and after that, he continued his good form. So hopefully something along those lines can happen because it sucks because like some of the Americans that have gone to Europe to Holland, I just haven't worked out in terms of like Mihailovic, Bassett. Yeah. So like hopefully Booth can, if Booth has a good season for the rest of the campaign, do you see him staying for at least like another 6 months, or do you see him getting a move?
Could be a move depending on how well he performs.
Right.
Somebody at Apple would have to come in with a good offer. But yeah, again, it depends what he looks like. I think if the lack of consistency might be putting suitors off right now. They see talent,
right? Yeah.
They see, okay, this kid has certainly some ability, but being able to produce, and the Eredivisie, like Dest and Tillman and even Pepe to a degree are producing in the Eredivisie. Like you have to be able to produce before you can get a bigger move. So he's got to be consistent in the Eredivisie, I think, before he gets a move. Otherwise, teams are going to go, if you're not even consistent in the Eredivisie, then you're not ready for a top 5 league or a Champions League team or something.
Yeah, I'll probably see him. I think he'll like stay for like the rest of the campaign, of course, and then I think he'll do another year. And I have a feeling he'll end up moving to like another one of the better teams in Holland. Honestly, I can see like a Feyenoord or like even like an AZ like pick him up.
Yeah,
because like Utrecht have not been doing well, and like
even
they
if
lost their
if Chucky comes
Yeah,
back
exactly.
to MLS or Tillman they don't end up buying Tillman, could be an interesting replacement there.
Yeah, what do you think of his brother? I really haven't seen Zach Booth. I know he was playing for Volendam last year. Like he just got picked up by them. I really haven't seen like any scouting reports. He seems to have gone under the radar.
He's more of a 6 defensive midfielder, but I haven't seen enough of
Gotcha.
him to really be able to like comment on him as a player. So I actually have no idea.
Gotcha. Segue, but am I getting like a little too worried about No Buck? Because I know he did like his little thing with England, and like he was with their under 20 team, and he has to file like a one-time switch to come back to the US, right? Essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have a feeling like he'll end up playing for us, but my biggest fear is he'll end up getting like a championship move. Maybe end up getting like promoted within like the next 2 or 3 years, and I don't know. Like him not being on the January camp roster was a little not great, but maybe I'm just being overcautious or worrying too much.
Well, he couldn't be on the champ again unless he would wanted to switch.
Right.
Right.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah. I suppose he could come in camp and train with them.
Right.
You know? But it is a case of it's also a crowded area for him, right? Like if you look at the USMNT, midfield is probably our deepest thing, situation, especially now with Johnny playing in Betis. We're at least 2 or 3 deep in almost every single position. Now that being said, he's never gonna play for England. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
I think he is allowed under 19 call-ups to get to his maybe be a little delusional there. Like, dude, they didn't want you for U20 even or U21.
Right.
It's U19. Like your chance.
Yeah.
Balogun couldn't make England, and this dude was the top, one of the top scorers in the French league. You are a promising MLS midfielder, and certainly there's some talent there, but I don't think he's ever going to be England level.
Fair. How about Balogun? He started off so hot, and he's just trickled. I don't like Ben Yedder's played himself into that position more, but it sucks to see after that $45 million move and not doing as well.
Yeah, it's early. I know it's not early because it's a lot of money, and you do have to deliver. He's 22.
Right.
He had one very good year. I think Balogun's real issue is that he's playing at a team that wants to have the ball. Like when he was at Rennes, they played a transition game, and that they would absorb pressure, press, and then win the ball and quickly take advantage of transition moments, which is great for Balogun. He makes those runs in behind, his speed, his 1v1 ability. That's great. Monaco are not like that. He's having to play with his back to goal, almost the way he has to play under Berhalter. He's having to play in combination in tight spaces, and that's where he's not as good. So they're not going to adapt their entire attacking strategy to Balogun. Balogun himself is going to have to adapt to Monaco, But I'm not particularly worried. I think he's still young enough to do it. But he is going to have to be more clinical when it matters too.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with Ben Yedder after this season. I think he has like 1 or 2 years left on his contract. I wonder if he ends up leaving, will they commit as having him as their first option forward? I have a feeling they won't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I know. There's also with Ben Yedder, we just don't know.
Yeah, those like reports. Yeah, I know he might go
to jail. Is he like how old?
Yeah,
isn't he like 34, 35 too?
He's like 33. Yeah. He's like a bit of a late bloomer. Yeah, so yeah, he really just started coming on like 7 or 6 years ago. But yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, he's 33. I guess we'll see what happens. I think this competition and I think this moment of like adversity is good for Balogun. I think he's going to have to learn how to play better, with his back to goal and play more in combination and not just rely on his pace to get in behind.
Oh, yeah. And then they'll probably be in the Champions League or something like that. So hopefully he can get more playing time too.
Maybe
next season.
I mean, they'll definitely
maybe
they'll definitely be in Europa League at least for sure, but they're not looking that good.
Aren't they in fourth?
They're fifth now.
Oh, they're in fifth. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, Lille won today, right? Didn't Lille push them out?
They have both have 35
points,
but there's no guarantee.
Okay, gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, even in the Europa League, I mean, hopefully he can get some, starts against some like lesser opposition and find his form. But yeah. Yeah. All right, man. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, no worries,
Have a
man.
nice night, man.
Thanks for hopping in, guys. I'm gonna end this here because I got to go take my dog to the vet. But have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week ahead. A couple of super chats. Thiago, don't worry about it. You just got to turn your sound on next time. I don't know what happened either. Jeff, Gary, Pete, how many World Cup games are going to be played in the U.S.? It's a good question. Isn't it 64 games when there's 32 teams, right? 64 games total, I think. So you're talking about probably a lot more than that with 40 teams. So it's almost 100 games, I think. And then, yeah, that was it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging. Smash that like button before you go. Thank you to Underdog for sponsoring this stream. Don't forget to use my code 11Yanks or click the link in the description below if you guys want to play. Have a great week. I'll see you soon.